You are walking into a grand hall, one of the many that stretch through the sprawling gilded palace. The air is thick with the scent of polished wood and soft lingering incense. The golden chandeliers hang above, casting warm light over the rich tapestries, draping the stone walls, their intricate designs depicting forgotten battles and kings of ancient lineage. The floor beneath your feet is cold marble, smooth and polished to a mirror sheen, reflecting your every step. The grandiose size of the room is staggering, with high arched ceilings that seem to stretch into eternity. Everything in this room speaks of wealth, opulence, and history. The grand banquet table is set with silver goblets, ornate plates, and fresh fruits that shine like jewels under the soft candlelight. The finest meats, freshly roasted, are served in abundance. The spread looks like a feast for the gods, offering the finest delicacies money can buy. You step forward, and the aroma of roasted meats and spices fills your senses. The air feels heavy with the weight of abundance. Every item on the table, every rich dish, is a testament to the splendor that comes with being part of the elite, a life that so many dream of. But beneath the surface, there is a different story. As you walk further into the room, your gaze falls upon Lord William Thornbrook, the master of this house. The Lord's hands, though elegant, are stained with the consequences of too much indulgence. Hands that have held goblets of fine wine, forks filled with rich meats, and spoons with desserts that could make the most devout monk abandon his vows. His once youthful appearance has been dulled, his face round with excess, and his steps slower than they should be for someone so young. Lord Thornbrook, dressed in his finest robes, sits at the head of the table, a seat that should be filled with the dignity of a ruler. Yet there is no joy in his eyes. His fingers twitch slightly, and you notice that his gaze is distant, as though his mind has drifted far from the celebration before him. His body is stiff, an almost imperceptible wince crossing his face every time he shifts in his seat. The pain is subtle, but it's there, hidden beneath the opulent facade of his existence. His health, the very thing he has worked so hard to protect with his wealth, is crumbling under the strain of indulgence. The very excess that defines his position in society is now the cause of his suffering. His body has become a reflection of the duality of his life. A man of wealth and privilege, yet bound by his own decisions. A man who has everything, but at a price. The servants are quick to attend him, offering him more wine, more food, but he doesn't take it. He can't. The pain is too great now, the gout in his joints making even the simplest movement a challenge. But he hides it well. To show weakness, to acknowledge his suffering, would be to admit that all of this, his life of luxury, his title, his wealth, has come with a cost that he cannot ignore. As he gazes down at his plate, the tension in his shoulders relaxes ever so slightly. He's been here before, in this moment of quiet reflection, surrounded by abundance but unable to enjoy it. He feels trapped, the golden chains of wealth and status binding him to a life that is no longer fulfilling. He has the finest things, yet none of them can ease the ache in his bones. The thought lingers in his mind, like a shadow he cannot shake. Is it worth it, this life, this opulence that promises comfort but delivers pain? The lavish food before him loses its appeal. He is no longer hungry for the pleasures it offers. He wonders if there could be more to life than this, a life less dependent on indulgence, on excess, on consumption. But the thought feels foreign to him, as though he's contemplating a distant dream, something beyond his reach. The sounds of laughter and clinking glasses around him fade into the background as he sits in silence, his mind racing. This grand hall filled with wealth and beauty now feels more like a gilded cage. There's a yearning within him, a desire to escape the cycle of indulgence that has taken over his life. As the feast continues around him, Lord Thornbrook remains distant, a figure of wealth and power who has everything, yet nothing at all. You find yourself walking in the garden outside Lord Thornbrook's estate, the sky a soft shade of lavender as dusk begins to settle over the land. The air is crisp yet filled with the lingering warmth of the day, a gentle breeze moving the leaves of the towering oak trees that line the path. The sound of rustling branches and chirping crickets fills the air, soothing in its simplicity. It is a peaceful moment, but there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Like the garden itself is caught between two worlds, the world of indulgence inside the grand house and the quiet, humble life beyond its walls. You walk alongside Lord Thornbrook, who appears somewhat out of place in this serene setting. His presence in the lush, natural beauty is jarring. The grandeur of the estate behind him seems to dwarf everything around him, casting a long shadow over the land. But it is not the estate's beauty he is focused on. His thoughts are distant, troubled by the physical pain that clings to his every movement. The tightness in his knees and the aching in his feet are ever present, a reminder that he is not immune to the very life he has created for himself. As you walk together, he pauses for a moment to look out at the horizon, the last rays of sunlight filtering through the branches. There's something about the simplicity of the garden that seems to calm him, even if only for a moment. His hands, which had once been elegant and poised, now tremble slightly. His fingers are stiff from the disease that has taken hold of him. The gout, once something he could ignore, has become the constant companion of his life. "This garden," he says quietly, his voice almost lost in the gentle rustling of the trees. "It's the only place I can find some peace." You glance over at him, noticing the way his gaze lingers on the plants, the flowers that bloom in wild abandon, their vibrant colors untouched by the decay inside him. It's as though the garden, with its organic growth and life, offers a stark contrast to his own existence, one dictated by artificial excess and false pleasures. "The house," he continues, "is full of riches, full of everything one could desire. But out here," he motions to the garden, "it feels different. It feels real." His words hang in the air, and for a moment there is a quiet understanding between you both. His wealth, his title, his status, they are all but hollow in the face of the pain he endures daily. The material wealth he has built his life on is meaningless to him now. It's a heavy weight around his neck, a burden he no longer wishes to carry. As the light fades further, Thornbrook lowers his head slightly, a sigh escaping his lips. He speaks again, more to himself than to you. "I thought this life would bring happiness, but it's a gilded cage, a beautiful prison." The confession is raw, unexpected. You can hear the regret in his voice, the frustration of a man who has everything but cannot escape the consequences of his choices. His status, his wealth, his place in society, none of it can undo the damage that has been done to his body. You walk in silence for a moment. The only sounds around you are the wind moving through the trees and the distant hum of the estate behind you. The oppressive weight of the house, its towering walls and endless corridors, is absent here. The garden offers him a kind of respite, a brief escape from the world he has trapped himself in, but it is fleeting. "Wealth," Thornbrook says softly, almost as if testing the idea on his own tongue, "is not all it's cracked up to be." There's a moment of quiet reflection. The richness of the garden around you contrasts sharply with the painful reality of his situation. The simple beauty of the flowers, the earth beneath your feet, and the fresh air, the very things that many would take for granted, seem so much more alive, so much more real than the life Thornbrook has built for himself inside the walls of his estate. The question lingers in the air. What is the point of all the riches when they bring nothing but pain? As the sun dips lower, casting the garden in a soft golden glow, you both continue walking slowly, side by side. The silence between you is no longer awkward, but rather filled with understanding. The peacefulness of the garden seems to affect Thornbrook, yet he cannot entirely escape the heaviness in his heart. You notice how his steps grow slower, his breath heavier. With each stride the Lord winces, his face subtly contorting with the discomfort of his condition. Yet he carries on, stubbornly pressing forward as though refusing to acknowledge the pain that has become a permanent part of his life. It's as if he's trying to outrun it, this pain that is as much a part of him as his title, his estate, his wealth. Finally, he pauses at the edge of a stone fountain, the water trickling gently, the sound soft and rhythmic. He looks into the water, seeing not just his reflection, but something deeper, the reflection of a man who has lived his life in pursuit of pleasures that have now come to haunt him. The fountain, once a symbol of opulence and beauty, now seems a mirror to his life, a source of both serenity and melancholy. This fountain, he murmurs, was once a symbol of my power, of my success. His voice is low, tinged with bitterness. I thought if I had everything, wealth, land, luxury, everything would fall into place, but it hasn't. All I have now is pain and regret. You step closer, careful not to disturb the peacefulness of the scene. The garden, the fountain, the gentle sound of flowing water, it all contrasts with the deep turmoil Thornbrook is experiencing. This beauty that surrounds him seems to mock the suffering inside him, a reminder that outward wealth can never mask inner emptiness. He places a hand on the edge of the fountain, his fingers lightly grazing the cool, smooth stone, and you can almost see the weight of his thoughts pressing down on him. He lets out a long sigh, a sound that seems to carry with it years of exhaustion. I've spent my life accumulating riches, he continues, his voice tinged with regret, and now I realize they were never what I truly needed. What I've always longed for is something simpler, something real. There's a long pause, and for a brief moment, you think he might break down. But instead, he turns his gaze away from the fountain and looks at the horizon. The gardens, the palace, and the endless wealth that stretch out before him feel distant now, as though they are nothing but a faint memory. It's not the wealth that's important, Thornbrook admits quietly. It's what we do with it, what we truly seek in life, beyond the surface. The real question is, did I ever really live, or was I just waiting to die, trapped in my own world of luxury? The soft wind stirs the leaves of the trees, and for a moment the world around him feels suspended in time. The quiet beauty of the scene contrasts sharply with the turmoil in Thornbrook's heart, yet there is a certain serenity in his acceptance of the truth. He no longer seeks to escape from it, but to face it. You both remain silent, allowing the stillness of the evening to wash over you. The weight of his words hangs between you, unspoken but understood. He may have everything in terms of material wealth, but it has brought him nothing but suffering. The riches that once defined his life have turned into chains, and now, standing in this peaceful garden, he feels as though he's been freed from them. The air feels lighter now, as if a heavy fog has lifted, allowing the evening to settle into a more peaceful rhythm. The sound of the water continues its steady flow, and for the first time in a long while, Thornbrook seems at peace with the idea of change. There is no longer any desire to cling to the illusion of wealth or to hide behind the facade of opulence. Maybe the real wealth, he says, his voice more determined now, is found in simplicity, in a life that is lived with purpose, not in the excess that we so often mistake for happiness. The evening sky is now a deep indigo, the stars beginning to twinkle in the vastness above. The last vestiges of the day's warmth fade into the cool embrace of night. Lord Thornbrook remains by the fountain, lost in thought, the quiet murmur of water filling the silence between you. The rich scents of the garden, earth, moss, the lingering fragrance of roses, seem to ground him, as though the garden itself is offering him solace. There is a calm here, a peace that he hasn't known in years, and for the first time, he allows himself to fully feel it. He straightens his back, letting out a soft exhale, the tension in his body easing just slightly. His fingers, once trembling in pain, now rest lightly on the stone of the fountain's edge. There's no denying the suffering he's endured, nor the toll that his opulent lifestyle has taken. But as he stands there in the quiet of the garden, with the soft hum of night around him, it feels as if he's finally beginning to breathe again. The truth, he murmurs almost to himself, is that I've been running from it, from the very thing that could have set me free, from the simplicity I so desperately need. You stand beside him, silent for a while, simply letting the quiet moments pass, allowing him the space to gather his thoughts. The garden, with its softly swaying trees and gentle sounds, offers a stark contrast to the dark, cavernous hallways of his home, the place where he once sought refuge in luxury, surrounded by riches that no longer seem to matter. Finally he turns to you, a thoughtful look in his eyes. I've had everything, he says quietly, or at least I thought I did, but it was never enough. Never. The more I had, the more I wanted, and the more I wanted, the further I drifted from everything that actually mattered. His words hang in the air, and for a brief moment the weight of his journey, his realization, settles around him like a fog. His eyes shift towards the horizon, where the faint outline of his estate can still be seen, bathed in the soft moonlight. The grand house with its towering walls and endless corridors no longer feels like a place of power and prestige. It feels like a relic, a monument to a past version of himself. I want to change, he whispers, almost as if confessing. I want to live differently. I want to feel alive, not just existing. The honesty in his voice is raw, unguarded. He seems a different man in this moment, a man who has stripped away the illusions of wealth and has seen the truth. In the dim light of the garden, with the air thick with the scent of night-blooming jasmine, it's as though Thornbrook is shedding the skin of his past self. He is standing on the precipice of a new life, one that doesn't require the trappings of wealth and excess. There is a silence, but it is no longer the heavy, suffocating silence that haunted his past. It is peaceful, reflective, as if the universe itself is giving him permission to step away from the past and embrace the future. You've made a difficult decision, you say softly, breaking the silence, but it's a powerful one. You're reclaiming what's yours. You're choosing to live with intention. He nods slowly, as if the words are sinking in. He looks down at the fountain once more, the water continuing to flow, steady and unhurried. The reflection of the moon dances in the ripples, its pale light adding a touch of magic to the moment. It's not just about the wealth, Thornbrook continues, his voice steadier now. It's about what I've been seeking all along. I've spent my life looking for happiness in gold, in power, in status. But true happiness? He pauses, letting the thought linger in the air. True happiness is simpler than that. You both turn to walk back toward the house, but this time the journey feels different. The grand estate ahead no longer feels like a fortress of materialism, but rather a place where change is possible, a place where new beginnings can take root. As you walk back, Thornbrook's steps are slower, more deliberate, as if he is savoring each moment. The path, once fraught with tension and pain, now feels lighter, filled with the promise of transformation. The garden, with its delicate fragrance of jasmine and the soft rustling of leaves, has been the catalyst for his awakening. The air is cool against your skin, a soothing balm after the warmth of the day, and you know that Thornbrook's journey, though not without its struggles, is now on a path of genuine change. As the night deepens and the garden is bathed in the soft silvery glow of the moon, Thornbrook stands still for a moment, his eyes gazing out at the estate that has both defined and confined him. The light breeze that whispers through the trees seems to mirror the quiet shift in his heart. The heavy air of the past, thick with regrets and indulgence, is starting to lift. There is a weightlessness now, like the first breath of air after a storm. Lord Thornbrook looks over at you, his expression no longer burdened by the same weight of uncertainty that had plagued him earlier. A faint smile plays at the corners of his lips, but it is the kind of smile that feels real. A smile not born out of obligation or pride, but of genuine relief. It is a smile that acknowledges the truth he has just uncovered, and for the first time in a long while, he seems to stand taller. I can't go back to the way things were, he says softly, as if speaking more to himself than to you. The life I've been living, it's over, and I don't want it anymore. His words, though simple, carried the strength of a man who has truly come to understand himself, who has realized the futility of his past pursuits. There is no sorrow in his voice, only the calm acceptance of what is to come. The path ahead is not clear, but that uncertainty is no longer a source of fear. Instead, it feels like the freedom to make new choices, to live in a way that aligns with what he now knows is truly important. Do you know, he continues, his voice barely above a whisper, that for years I thought I needed more wealth, more power, more admiration. But now I see it was never about that. It was always about feeling alive, about living with intention. You nod, understanding the weight of his words, the depth of his realization. It's the kind of shift that only comes after years of living in excess, only after the body and mind are burdened by the consequences of indulgence. Thornbrook had spent his life chasing after things that seemed important, things that society told him were the key to happiness. Yet now, standing in the moonlight, with the quiet of the garden surrounding him, he has come to see that true fulfillment lies in simplicity, in presence, and in the quiet moments of reflection and connection. The night is still, save for the soft rustling of the leaves in the trees. The world feels at peace, as though it too is holding its breath for the change that is taking place. There is no rush, no urgency. Thornbrook has all the time in the world now. The mansion behind him, with its towering walls and lavish halls, seems distant, almost irrelevant, as though it were a dream he is slowly waking from. He turns to face you, his gaze steady and sincere. "I think," he says slowly, "that for the first time in my life, I am ready to live for me, to live for what truly matters." There is a long pause, the silence between you both filled with the weight of this new beginning. The air around you is cool, the scents of jasmine and lavender mingling with the night's freshness. Thornbrook's shoulders relax and his posture straightens, as if shedding the last of the burdens that had held him captive for so long. "I want to experience life differently," he says, his voice firm but gentle. "No more running after things that don't bring me peace. No more living for others. I want to live for myself and for the things that truly matter." For a moment it feels as though the world is holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter to begin. The garden, the mansion, the life he's known, they're all fading into the distance, and Thornbrook is stepping forward into something new. It's a slow process, but there's no rush. There is a sense of quiet optimism now, a sense that Thornbrook is moving forward with a deep understanding of what he needs. As you both walk back toward the house, his steps are more deliberate, more grounded. The mansion, with all its opulence, no longer feels like a fortress to him. It feels like a place where he can begin anew, a place where change is possible. His mind is clearer, his heart lighter. The journey ahead may be uncertain, but Thornbrook is ready to reclaim the simplicity and peace that has always eluded him. The path that stretches before him is no longer a gilded cage. It's a road of freedom, of possibility, and Thornbrook, for the first time, is walking it with purpose. The night air is cool now, with a hint of crispness as it begins to settle into the late hours. The scent of the garden has changed slightly. No longer just the sweetness of blooming jasmine, but also the grounding aroma of damp earth and cool stone, as if the night itself is breathing a sigh of relief. The soft rustling of the trees seems to echo the stillness inside Thornbrook, his thoughts no longer burdened by the expectations of his past life. As you walk beside him, the heavy silence between you feels different now, more comfortable, almost familiar. Thornbrook's pace has slowed even further, not out of discomfort or fatigue, but because he is savouring the moment, the peace that has eluded him for so long. His footsteps are lighter now, less deliberate, and more like a man walking in harmony with the world around him. "You know," he begins, his voice softer than before, "I've spent my life measuring success by what I could accumulate. Wealth, land, prestige. Those were the markers I used to gauge my worth. But now, standing here, I see it all for what it really is." He pauses for a moment and the words seem to hang in the air. "It's nothing more than a distraction, a way to keep us from seeing the truth." You can feel the sincerity in his voice, the weight of his words. There is no bitterness now, no anger at his past mistakes, just the quiet realization that the life he thought he wanted was built on the wrong foundation. "I always thought that if I had more," he continues, "if I could have it all, then I'd be happy. But it was all just noise, all the opulence, all the celebrations, the endless feasts. It was just filling a void that couldn't be filled. I was chasing something that didn't even exist. And now I realized that what I was truly seeking was peace. And I found it here, in this quiet garden, in the simplicity of the night." The gentle breeze picks up again, and the sound of rustling leaves fills the space between you. Thornbrook closes his eyes for a moment, as if allowing himself to take in the experience fully. The cool air against his skin seems to soothe him, washing away the layers of wealth and power that once defined him. I've been so focused on accumulating more, he continues, that I forgot to ask myself what I actually needed. I thought that if I could have it all, I'd finally be satisfied. But it's the simplest things that have brought me peace. This garden, this moment, just being here, present with myself. You both stop walking for a moment, standing in the middle of the garden. The night feels like it has wrapped itself around you both, cocooning you in the stillness. Thornbrook stands tall, his posture more relaxed now, and you can see the weight of years of indulgence beginning to slip away from him. His face is softer, more at ease than you've ever seen it before. I spent so much time running after things, he says with a touch of self-awareness, but all it took was standing still for just a moment to realize that what I truly wanted was never out there. It was inside me all along. The peace, the simplicity, the freedom to just be. For the first time in ages, Thornbrook seems to fully breathe. There's no pain in his expression now, no shadow of regret or frustration. There's only a deep sense of contentment, of having finally found his way. And for the first time he turns to face you, fully. His gaze steady and clear. I want to live differently. I want to live with intention. I want to find fulfillment, not in what I can possess, but in what I can experience. You both stand there for a while longer, the soft, cool air of the night brushing against your skin. The garden around you bathed in moonlight. The transformation in Thornbrook is palpable. He has stepped away from a life of excess, and now, with each passing moment, he's reclaiming his life in the simplest, most meaningful way possible. Tomorrow, he says, I'll begin anew, not with wealth but with purpose, not with more things but with more life. As the last words leave his mouth, a sense of quiet certainty fills the space. The future is not uncertain anymore, it is full of possibility. The mansion behind you, the estate that once held him captive, now feels like a place of potential, a place where he can build a new life, one free from the chains of excess and greed. You both begin to walk back toward the house, the sound of your footsteps soft against the earth. The grand estate, with its towering walls and opulent halls, still looms behind you, but it no longer feels oppressive. It's a place of change, of rebirth, and for Thornbrook it is a place where he will rebuild, not just his life, but his soul. Sensory detail. Expansion. In this section, the sensory details of the garden deepen the sense of transformation and serenity that Thornbrook is experiencing. The coolness of the air, the rustling leaves, and the soft moonlight all create a tranquil atmosphere that contrasts sharply with the excess of his previous life. The sensory details not only paint a vivid picture of the setting, but also amplify the emotional weight of Thornbrook's realization. His moment of clarity is mirrored by the simplicity and peace of the natural world around him. The pacing is slow and reflective, allowing the reader to fully absorb Thornbrook's emotional transformation. The garden becomes a symbol of his inner peace and a representation of the simplicity he now sees. The early morning light continues to bathe the garden in its soft golden glow, and the air, still cool from the night, wraps around Thornbrook like a comforting embrace. He breathes in deeply, the crispness of the morning filling his lungs, mixing with the earthy scent of damp soil and the delicate fragrance of blooming flowers. The air feels alive, invigorating, each breath a reminder of the world's quiet beauty. As he walks deeper into the garden, the soft rustle of leaves beneath his feet adds a gentle rhythm to his movements. Thornbrook's shoes, once polished and regal, now feel different as they press against the earth, grounding him in the present moment. The stones of the path, worn smooth by years of use, seem to hum beneath his feet, as if welcoming him home. The garden is alive with the sounds of early life, birds singing their first songs of the day, the faint buzz of bees flitting from flower to flower, and the distant hum of the wind weaving its way through the trees. These sounds, so simple, yet so rich, fill the space with a peace Thornbrook has never known. He's not rushing, not chasing anything, but simply being. For the first time in years, he feels at peace with the stillness. The silence that once felt empty now feels full, not of noise or distraction, but of possibility. It is as though the garden has become a mirror of his own inner world, quiet, serene, and full of potential. The mansion behind him, with its grand walls and towering structure, seems distant now. Its opulence no longer commands his attention. Instead, the garden, with its simplicity and beauty, draws him in. Thornbrook pauses at the centre of the garden, looking out across the land. The estate stretches before him, its vastness both humbling and awe-inspiring. The fields, the distant trees, the winding paths, all of it is his, but it no longer holds the same weight. The wealth and power he once prized so highly now seem like mere trinkets compared to the sense of peace he feels in this moment. He turns his gaze upward, watching the sun slowly rise higher in the sky, casting long, soft shadows across the garden. The warmth of the sun touches his face, and for a moment he closes his eyes, allowing the gentle rays to wash over him. The warmth feels good, comforting, like a promise of renewal. It is the warmth of a new day, a new beginning. Thornbrook exhales slowly, feeling a weight lifting off his shoulders, the burden of his former life melting away with each breath. The path he had once walked, filled with ambition and endless pursuit, no longer calls to him. The pursuit of status, wealth and power, these things once so essential, now seem irrelevant. He is no longer defined by them. Instead, he is defined by the choices he makes now, in this moment. "I am free," Thornbrook whispers softly, his voice filled with a quiet certainty. The words, simple but powerful, linger in the air. They seem to echo in the stillness, as if the garden itself has heard them, as if the world is acknowledging his transformation. There is no rush, no sense of urgency, only a calm acceptance of the life he is now choosing, a life of purpose, of simplicity, and of presence. He begins to walk again, his steps slow and deliberate, each one carrying him further into the peaceful sanctuary of the garden. The flowers, once just part of the scenery, now seem to reach out to him, their vibrant colours a reminder of the life that is still full of beauty and possibility. The gentle breeze tousles the leaves of the trees, creating a soft, whispering melody that blends with the bird's song. For the first time, Thornbrook feels a deep connection to the world around him. It is not the connection of a man to his wealth, to his power, but a connection to something deeper, something more lasting. He is part of this world, this simple, beautiful world, and it is part of him. The house behind him, the grand estate, are just that, a house, a place to live. But the garden, the earth, the sky, these are the things that truly matter. Thornbrook reaches a small bench at the edge of the garden, its wood smooth and worn from years of use. He sits down, letting his body relax into the comfort of the seat. The sun continues to rise, casting a warm glow across the land. The gentle hum of life continues all around him, and for the first time Thornbrook feels truly present, truly alive. In this stillness he realizes that it is not the grand gestures of life that bring true happiness. It is the quiet moments, the moments of peace, the moments of connection. It is the simple things that make life worth living. The feeling of the earth beneath his feet, the sound of the wind through the trees, the warmth of the sun on his skin, and the calm of knowing that he is exactly where he needs to be. And as the garden blooms around him, Thornbrook knows that this is just the beginning. He has chosen a new path, a path of simplicity, of peace, of presence. A path that will lead him to a life that is not defined by the expectations of others, but by the quiet joy of living in harmony with the world. The journey ahead will not be without its challenges, but Thornbrook feels ready for whatever comes next. For the first time, he is free to live a life that truly matters. The day continues to unfold gently as Thornbrook's mind settles into a serene rhythm, in sync with the quiet pulse of the garden around him. The bird song seems to rise and fall with the rhythm of his breath, a natural harmony that lulls him into a state of deep relaxation. He remains seated on the weathered bench, his feet resting lightly on the ground, his back supported by the solid, comforting presence of the garden's natural elements. The air is still cool, with only the faintest trace of warmth beginning to spread across his skin as the sun climbs higher into the sky. A slight breeze stirs the leaves of the trees overhead, the soft rustling a constant companion in this tranquil moment. Thornbrook watches the delicate dance of the branches, moving ever so slowly in response to the wind's caress. The leaves tremble gently, casting tiny shadows on the ground below. Each movement of the leaves, each subtle shift in the air, seems to carry a message, one of peace, of simplicity, and of connection to the natural world. The garden is no longer just a place. It has become a sanctuary, a reflection of his newfound understanding of life. His gaze drifts from the trees to the flowers at his feet, their petals stretching towards the sun in a slow, deliberate dance. Each bloom seems to glow with its own inner light, as if it too has found its purpose in the stillness of the morning. Thornbrook allows himself to be fully present in this moment, to take in every detail, the rich colours of the flowers, the softness of the earth beneath him, the faint, almost imperceptible scent of the damp soil mixing with the floral fragrance in the air. For a long while, Thornbrook remains motionless, absorbed in the beauty that surrounds him. His mind, once cluttered with concerns of status, wealth, and the demands of nobility, now feels empty of all but the most basic and fundamental truths. The wealth of his estate, the power of his title, all of it seems so distant now, like a dream fading with the morning light. What matters now is the simplicity of the moment, the deep sense of contentment that comes from within. As he watches the sun climb higher, Thornbrook begins to feel the warmth of the day settle more fully on his skin. It's a gentle heat, the kind that speaks of a promise of growth, of renewal, of life continuing to unfold in its own steady rhythm. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the warmth bathe his face, feeling the energy of the earth below him rise through his body. There is no hurry, no rush to move forward, only the quiet assurance that all things come in their own time. When he opens his eyes again, the world around him seems even clearer, more vivid. The sounds of the garden, the birds, the breeze, the distant murmur of the estate's daily workings, are no longer distractions. They are part of the same melody, the same deep song that is his life now. There is no longer any need to strive, to chase after fleeting goals. Instead, there is a deep understanding that the true wealth of life lies not in accumulating more, but in experiencing the moments that make up each day. Thornbrook rises from the bench, slowly, as if he's savouring the movement itself. Each step he takes feels more deliberate, more purposeful, as if the very act of walking through the garden is a meditation. The earth beneath his feet feels solid, reliable, grounding him in the present. The path before him seems to stretch on endlessly, but for the first time he does not feel the need to hurry towards the end. Each step is enough. Each step is a destination in itself. He walks slowly, taking his time, enjoying the soft crunch of the gravel beneath his feet and the gentle caress of the morning breeze. As he passes a cluster of flowers, he stops and bends down, touching the petals lightly with his fingers. The flowers, soft and delicate, seem to respond to his touch, their colours deepening in the sunlight. He smiles quietly, feeling a sense of connection not just to the garden, but to the world at large. The world is full of beauty, of life, and it is all around him, waiting to be appreciated. Thornbrook pauses at the edge of the garden, looking out over the vast estate once more. The sight of it no longer fills him with pride or a sense of ownership. Instead, it feels like a part of the natural world, something he is connected to but not defined by. His gaze travels across the fields, the distant trees, the winding paths, and for the first time he does not see them as symbols of power or wealth. He sees them as part of the flow of life, part of the cycle of the seasons, of growth and renewal. "I am part of this," he says softly to himself, his voice barely above a whisper. The words feel true, like a realization he has carried deep within him for longer than he can remember. He is not separate from the world around him. He is a part of it. This garden, this land, this life. He has always been connected to it, and now he understands that his role is not to control, but to live in harmony with the world. He stands there for a moment, absorbing the peace of the morning, allowing it to fill every part of him. The garden, the land, the air, and the light, they are all a part of him now, as he is a part of them. The world is not something to be conquered or owned. It is something to be cherished, to be lived in, to be a part of. And as the sun climbs higher, Thornbrook knows that his journey is just beginning. The life he has chosen now is not about wealth or power. It is about presence, about connection, and about the simple joys that make life worth living. As the morning light continues to stretch across the estate, Thornbrook begins to walk away from the garden, each step lighter than the last, each step taking him further into the life he is choosing to create. The mansion behind him, with its towering walls and endless halls, no longer holds the same significance. He has stepped outside of its shadow and into the light of a new day, and for the first time he feels truly free. As Thornbrook steps further into the estate, the world around him continues to unfold in a way that feels new and fresh. The sun now casts a brighter, warmer light over the landscape, filling the estate with a golden hue. The sky above is clear and vast, a perfect expanse that mirrors the newfound clarity in his own mind. Every step feels purposeful, as though he is walking not just through the land, but into the next chapter of his life. The sounds of the estate begin to reach him once more. The low hum of the workers in the fields, the distant calls of the servants in the courtyard, and the quiet rustle of the wind moving through the trees. These sounds, once background noise, now feel like part of the symphony of life around him. They are no longer distractions, but a steady reminder of the world he is a part of. The rhythm of life, once drowned out by his pursuit of wealth and power, now seems to fill him with a deep sense of connection. Thornbrook walks toward the heart of the estate, where the garden gives way to the grand manor house that has been his home for so many years. But today, it feels different. The mansion, with its stone walls and towering spires, is no longer an imposing structure. It no longer represents the weight of his past or the life he once sought to build. Instead, it feels like a vessel for a new journey, a place where he can finally be himself, unburdened by the need to project power or status. As he approaches the house, Thornbrook pauses for a moment, taking in the view of the estate from this new perspective. The grandeur of the manor, the sprawling fields, the vibrant gardens, they are all part of his world, but they no longer define him. His life, his choices, are no longer about maintaining appearances or living up to others' expectations. They are about living authentically, embracing the simplicity and peace that he has discovered in the quiet moments of the garden. I've spent so many years building this, Thornbrook thinks, but now it's time to build something else. The thought is both liberating and humbling. The mansion, once a symbol of his success, is now a backdrop to the life he wants to create. A life centered not on wealth, but on purpose, on connection, and on the quiet joys that he has only just begun to appreciate. With a deep breath, Thornbrook steps into the manor. The air inside feels cooler, the space vast and echoing with the sound of his footsteps. The servants and staff move about, preparing for the day ahead, but Thornbrook feels no urgency. There is no rush to get to the next meeting, no pressing matter to attend to. Today, he is not defined by his responsibilities as a lord, but by the man he is becoming, one who is ready to embrace a life of balance and simplicity. As he walks through the grand hall, Thornbrook notices the tapestries hanging on the walls, the intricate furniture, and the fine art that once filled him with pride. But now he sees them with new eyes. These things, while beautiful, are just objects, things that once held meaning because they represented his status, but now they are simply part of the landscape of his life. He no longer feels the need to hold on to them or place them on a pedestal. They are here, but they do not define him. Thornbrook moves through the rooms of the house, his footsteps quiet and deliberate. He passes the dining hall, where the grand feasts were once held, and the library, where he spent countless hours poring over books to increase his knowledge and influence. Each room holds memories, but they no longer bind him. He is free from the expectations that once weighed heavily on him, and as he moves through the house, he feels a sense of peace that he has never known before. Finally, Thornbrook enters his study. The room is warm, with the soft glow of the morning light streaming through the windows. His desk is cluttered with papers, maps, and letters, remnants of the life he once lived. But today, He sees the desk differently. It is not a symbol of power or control, but a place for reflection, for planning, and for making choices that will shape the future he wants to create. He sits at the desk, running his fingers over the edge of the wood. The cool surface beneath his touch reminds him of the simple, steady presence of the earth. He opens one of the drawers, pulling out a blank sheet of paper and a quill. The ink flows smoothly onto the page as he begins to write. It is not a letter of politics or power, but a simple note to himself, a reminder of the changes he has already made and the path he is choosing to walk. The words on the page are simple, but they carry a weight of meaning. I choose peace. I choose simplicity. I choose a life worth living, not for others, but for myself. As Thornbrook writes these words, a sense of clarity washes over him. He is no longer the man he once was. He is no longer trapped by the expectations of his title, his wealth, or his social standing. He is a man who has chosen to live authentically, to embrace the quiet beauty of life, and to walk the path of purpose and fulfillment. And in this quiet moment, Thornbrook feels the weight of his past finally lift, replaced by the lightness of a future filled with possibility. The mansion, the estate, and all that he once held dear are still there, but they no longer define him. He has stepped into the light of a new day, and with it comes the freedom to create a life that is truly his own. As the sun climbs higher, Thornbrook feels a deep sense of gratitude for this moment of clarity, for the new life he is choosing, and for the peace that has settled within him. The journey ahead will not be without its challenges, but he is ready. For the first time in his life, Thornbrook is truly free. Thornbrook stands at the window of his study, looking out over the vast estate. The view stretches out before him, a patchwork of fields, gardens, and distant woodlands, all bathed in the soft light of the morning. The sky above is a clear, pale blue, and the air feels fresh and full of promise. There is a quiet serenity to the landscape now, one that Thornbrook has never truly noticed before, lost as he once was in the demands of his position. As his gaze lingers on the horizon, he feels an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the simplicity of this moment. The grandiosity of his estate no longer overwhelms him. He no longer sees it as a symbol of his status or a means to an end, but as part of the natural flow of life. It is a place of beauty, of history, and of potential, a canvas upon which he can now begin to paint a different picture. He turns away from the window, his thoughts drifting to the life he has lived, the years spent in pursuit of power, wealth, and influence. Those days now feel distant, almost foreign to him. He was once defined by what he owned, what he controlled, but now he knows that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in moments like this, moments of peace, of clarity, of connection to the world around him. Thornbrook walks slowly to the door of his study, the creak of the wood beneath his feet, a gentle reminder of the passing of time. He steps out into the hallway, the familiar surroundings feeling different now. The grand stone walls, the tapestries that once seemed to shout of his wealth, the polished floors, all of it is the same, yet somehow it feels lighter, less burdened. He no longer feels the weight of these things upon him. They are simply part of the world, not the things that define it. He moves through the halls of the manor with a quiet purpose, no longer rushing, no longer burdened by the need to be seen or to impress. The servants go about their work with quiet efficiency, but today Thornbrook notices them with a new sense of appreciation. They are part of this world too, just as much as he is, each of them playing their part in the tapestry of life that stretches across the estate. Thornbrook reaches the great hall, where the preparations for the day's meal are already underway. The smells of freshly baked bread, roasting meats and herbs fill the air, but today Thornbrook feels no hunger for the extravagant feast that will soon unfold. His body has become accustomed to the simple meals he has chosen to embrace, and it feels good, nourishing, not overwhelming. He watches as the servants work, their movements graceful and practiced, and for the first time he feels no pressure to command, no need to oversee every detail. He is content to observe, content to let things unfold in their own time. The feast will be prepared and the guests will arrive, but for now he is content with the quiet hum of life that surrounds him. As Thornbrook stands in the great hall, he reflects on the path he has chosen. The journey ahead is not one of riches or grandeur, but one of simplicity, connection, and inner peace. It is a path that will require patience, understanding, and a willingness to live in harmony with the world. But it is a path he is ready to walk. For the first time, Thornbrook feels truly free. He is no longer bound by the expectations of his title or the demands of his wealth. He is free to live authentically, to embrace the simple joys of life, and to find peace in the quiet moments that once seemed so insignificant. He steps away from the bustling preparations and makes his way to the small chapel on the estate. The chapel, with its simple stone walls and humble altar, has always been a place of quiet reflection for him. But today it feels like more than just a place of worship. It feels like a sanctuary, a place where he can reconnect with the deeper truths of life and of his own being. As Thornbrook enters the chapel, he feels a deep sense of calm wash over him. The cool air inside is a welcome contrast to the warmth of the manor, and the soft light filtering through the stained glass windows creates a peaceful, otherworldly glow. He takes a seat at the pew, his hands resting on the worn wood, and closes his eyes. In this quiet space, Thornbrook reflects on all that he has learned, about himself, about the world, and about the true meaning of wealth and happiness. He thinks of the people in his life, the relationships he has built, and the ones he still hopes to cultivate. He thinks of the choices he has made and the ones still to come, and he knows that this is the path he was meant to walk, a path of peace, of simplicity, and of purpose. The sound of distant footsteps echoes through the chapel, but Thornbrook remains still, his mind at peace. He knows that life will continue to unfold around him, with all its challenges and opportunities. But for now, in this moment, he is content. He is exactly where he needs to be. As the day draws on, Thornbrook finds himself back in the heart of the estate. But this time, the grand halls and endless corridors do not feel like the confines of a cage. The space around him, once a symbol of his wealth and position, now feels like a sanctuary, a place where he can be still, reflect, and breathe. The servants continue their work with quiet efficiency, but Thornbrook is no longer burdened by the constant need to oversee every detail. He has learned that the true measure of his power does not lie in controlling every aspect of his life, but in trusting the flow of things and allowing them to unfold naturally. The grand dining room is being prepared for the evening feast, but Thornbrook pays little attention to the opulence of the preparations. The long tables, the shining silverware, and the decadent dishes that will soon fill the room no longer hold the same allure. The excess, once a source of pride, now seems unnecessary. He knows that tonight's guests, like many before them, will expect nothing less than a grand spectacle, but Thornbrook has no need for such displays anymore. What matters now is not how others see him, but how he sees himself. He steps out onto the balcony that overlooks the vast gardens, a place he has often stood to watch the world below. Today the view seems different. The fields stretch out before him, full of life and possibility, but it is the simplicity of the moment that draws his attention. The sounds of the birds, the rustling leaves in the wind, the distant murmur of the workers, it all feels so harmonious, so in tune with the world around him. Thornbrook stands there for a moment, letting the stillness wash over him. The cool breeze on his skin, the scent of flowers drifting through the air, the warmth of the sun on his face, all of these things bring a deep sense of contentment, a sense of being exactly where he is meant to be. For the first time, he does not feel the need to strive for more. There is no rush, no pressure to achieve. He is not measured by the wealth he commands or the titles he holds. He is simply a man, part of this world, learning to live in harmony with it. The quietude of the moment is broken by the soft sound of footsteps behind him. He turns to see Lady Elellanena approaching, her presence as steady and comforting as ever. She smiles warmly at him, her face reflecting the same peace that he now feels. There is no longer the need for grand words, no need to explain what has changed. They both understand. The journey they have walked together has led them to this moment, this place of quiet understanding. "How are you feeling?" she asks, her voice gentle but filled with a caring warmth. "Better than ever," Thornbrook replies, his voice steady, his words full of certainty. "I have everything I need right here." Elellanena steps closer, her eyes searching his face as though she too feels the transformation in him. She reaches out, touching his arm lightly, a gesture of comfort and connection. I know this hasn't been easy, she says, but you've found something real now, haven't you? Something beyond all the things we once chased. Thornbrook nods slowly, feeling the truth of her words settle deeply in his chest. Yes, he says softly. I've been chasing something my whole life. I thought it was power or wealth or prestige, but what I've been searching for was always here, right in front of me. It's peace, simplicity, a life where I can just be. Lady Elellanena smiles, her eyes filled with understanding. And now we can live it together. There's no need for more than this, is there? No, Thornbrook answers, his voice steady and filled with conviction. There's no need for more. They stand in silence for a while, side by side, looking out over the estate. The world continues to hum around them, but it no longer feels like a whirlwind of demands and obligations. Instead, it feels like a peaceful, flowing river, one that they are both now ready to follow, wherever it may lead. The sound of the servants preparing the feast in the distance reminds Thornbrook that life will continue to unfold, with all its responsibilities and expectations. But for the first time, he feels no pressure to meet them with the same urgency or desire for grandeur. Tonight's feast will be what it is, a gathering of friends, of allies, and of good company. But Thornbrook knows that the true celebration is not in the extravagance of the meal, but in the quiet joy of being present in the moment, of choosing a life that is free from the constraints of excess. The garden, the estate, the people, they are all part of his world, but they no longer define him. He is defined by his choices, by his commitment to live with intention, to find balance, and to seek joy in the simple moments of life. As the sun continues to set, Thornbrook takes Lady Elellena's hand, and they walk back into the manor together, no longer bound by the expectations of their former lives. The future stretches out before them, full of possibilities, but for the first time Thornbrook feels no need to rush toward it. Instead, he steps forward with a sense of calm, knowing that he is exactly where he is meant to be. Tonight he will host his guests, but he will do so as the man he has become, not a lord defined by his title or wealth, but a man defined by his heart, his purpose, and his peace. The evening draws near, and the soft light of the setting sun bathes the estate in a golden hue. The mansion, once a symbol of Thornbrook's pursuit of power, now stands as a quiet backdrop to the life he has chosen. The grand halls, with their intricate tapestries and towering pillars, no longer hold the weight they once did. They are simply part of the landscape, as much a part of his world as the garden he had wandered through earlier. It's a feeling of release, no longer bound by the expectations of his title. He can now simply exist within his own space, at peace. As Thornbrook enters the great hall, the familiar sounds of the servants preparing for the evening feast greet him. The clinking of silver, the soft rustling of linens being laid across tables, and the gentle murmur of voices all blend into a soothing hum. It's a scene that once filled him with a sense of control, of power over the world around him, but tonight it feels different. The preparations, though grand, no longer overwhelm him. They are simply part of the rhythm of life, and he has no need to dominate it. Lady Elellanena is there, overseeing the final touches. Her graceful presence moves through the room with ease, her decisions light but sure. She is the heart of this home, managing its rhythms with the same calm assurance that Thornbrook now strives to embody in his own life. He watches her for a moment, feeling a deep appreciation for the balance she brings to their world. When she notices him, she smiles, a soft, knowing smile that speaks volumes. It's a look that acknowledges the change in him, the peace he has found within himself. Are you ready? She asks, her voice light but full of care. Thornbrook nods slowly, his gaze steady and calm. Ready, he replies, his voice grounded, as though he has finally found his footing in this new way of being. Tonight's feast will be different, not because of the food, the guests, or the grandeur, but because of the quiet understanding that fills the air. Thornbrook no longer feels the need to prove anything. He doesn't need to display his wealth or flaunt his power. The guests will enjoy the meal, the entertainment, and the company, but for Thornbrook, the true richness of the evening lies in the simple moments of connection. The conversation, the shared laughter, and the warmth of being surrounded by those who understand the life he is choosing. As the guests begin to arrive, Thornbrook greets them with the same graciousness he always has. But now, there is a lightness in his demeanor that wasn't there before. The weight of his past no longer drags him down. His interactions are calm, steady, and sincere, not marked by the pressure of maintaining his noble stature, but by the desire to genuinely connect. The feast begins with the usual rituals, servants moving among the guests, offering wine, and a ceremonial washing of hands before the meal. Thornbrook watches these small acts with a new sense of appreciation. The rituals, the traditions, they are part of a world that he is no longer trying to control, but rather a world he is now learning to inhabit with grace. As the first courses are served, Thornbrook takes a simple portion, the dish carefully chosen to avoid aggravating his gout. The food is flavorful, nourishing but modest, fish, vegetables, and bread, with a simple herbal sauce. It is a far cry from the rich meats and wines of past feasts, but it feels right. There is no rush to indulge, no pressure to consume beyond what is necessary. It's a meal that reflects the new path he is on, one of balance and moderation. The conversation flows easily, and Thornbrook finds himself engaged in discussions with his guests, not about power or politics, but about the simple pleasures of life, the changes in the seasons, and the joys of spending time with loved ones. There is no competition, no need to impress. It's a moment of genuine connection, and Thornbrook savors it. As the evening progresses, the atmosphere remains light, relaxed, and full of warmth. The minstrels play softly in the background, their gentle music weaving through the conversation like a soft thread, adding to the calm and serenity that now fills the room. Thornbrook takes a moment to step back, looking around the hall at the faces of his guests, the flickering candlelight casting soft shadows on their feet. For the first time, he realizes that this simple joy, this genuine connection, is the true feast of life. It's not in the excess of food, wine, or display, but in the quiet moments of sharing, of being present with others, and of being at peace with oneself. Later, as the guests begin to retire for the evening, Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena stand at the door, bidding them farewell. There is no formality, no pomp, just a sincere wish for safe travels and a quiet night. The evening ends not with a grand display, but with a sense of calm satisfaction, a sense that the day has been well spent, not in the pursuit of wealth or status, but in the simple joy of living. As the last of the guests depart, Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena walk slowly back to their chambers side by side. The night is quiet, the only sound the soft rustle of the trees in the breeze. Thornbrook feels a deep sense of peace within him, the kind of peace that comes not from external success or validation, but from an inner knowing that he has chosen the right path. He has stepped outside of the shadow of his past life and into the light of a new beginning, one that is rooted in simplicity, purpose, and connection. As they enter their chamber, Thornbrook turns to Lady Elellanena, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he says quietly, his voice steady and sincere, "for everything, for standing by me through all of this." She smiles softly, her hand resting on his. "We've both come a long way," she replies, "and we're not done yet." Thornbrook nods, feeling the truth of her words. The journey he has begun is just the start. There will be challenges ahead, but for the first time, he feels ready to face them. Not with the weight of his past, but with the lightness of a man who has finally found his way. The night settles into a deep, peaceful quiet. Thornbrook lies down, his mind at ease, knowing that tomorrow will bring another day of simple joys and quiet moments. He has found what he was searching for, not in the wealth he once pursued, but in the simplicity of living fully, authentically, and at peace with himself. The journey has just begun, but for the first time, Thornbrook feels as though he is exactly where he is meant to be. The days pass slowly, each one carrying Thornbrook further into the life he is now embracing. The estate, with its sprawling gardens and quiet halls, has become his sanctuary, a place where time feels gentle and the weight of the world seems to have lifted. The rituals of the manor, once bustling with the demands of wealth and power, have transformed into simple, peaceful rhythms. The morning begins with the soft glow of the sun, the distant chirping of birds, and the quiet rustle of the wind through the trees. Sounds that once went unnoticed now fill the air with a sense of calm. Thornbrook finds himself waking earlier each day, not from the pressure of obligations, but from a quiet excitement to begin the day. There is no rush, no urgency to meet expectations. Instead, there is a gentle anticipation, a knowing that each day is a chance to deepen the simplicity he has chosen to live by. The pace of life is slower now, and yet it feels richer than ever. Lady Elellanena, ever his steadfast companion, joins him in the mornings, and together they walk through the gardens, their footsteps light on the dew-covered grass. The plants, flowers, and trees they pass are now familiar friends, each one holding a story or memory from their shared walks. It's no longer just a place to pass through, but a space of connection, a living tapestry that reflects the change in both of them. The once precious flowers now seem like old friends, their petals soft and welcoming as they sway in the breeze. They speak little during their walks, and yet the silence between them is not one of distance but of mutual understanding. They do not need words to know that this life, this simplicity, is what they both wanted all along. The need for grand gestures, for excessive wealth, for power, they have shed it all. Instead, they share quiet smiles and occasional glances, as though each step forward is a conversation in itself. Thornbrook often finds himself reflecting on the changes in his life during these walks. He realizes that the garden, with its humble beauty, has become more than just a place of escape. It is a symbol of everything he has learned, the patience, the quiet joy, and the acceptance of life's simple pleasures. Every flower, every tree, every stone seems to hold a part of his journey, and as he passes by, he feels a deep sense of gratitude for each moment, each small detail that has brought him here. The mornings are slow and peaceful, but by afternoon the estate comes alive with a steady hum of activity. Guests from nearby estates occasionally visit, though these gatherings are not the lavish affairs they once were. Instead, they are intimate, filled with genuine conversation and shared laughter. The lavish banquets have given way to simple, wholesome meals, fresh vegetables from the garden, hearty bread, and modest meats, foods that nourish not just the body, but the soul. At these small gatherings, Thornbrook notices a change, not just in himself, but in those around him. His guests, too, seem to find comfort in the simplicity of the setting. There is no pressure to impress, no expectation to entertain with grandeur. Instead, they share stories, discuss their lives, and talk about the simple pleasures that make up their days. Thornbrook listens more than he speaks, savoring the quiet joy of being surrounded by people who, like him, are learning to find happiness in the small things. As the seasons begin to change, Thornbrook finds himself spending more time outdoors, walking deeper into the surrounding woods and fields. The landscapes that stretch out before him are as beautiful as ever, but now they feel different. The once vast expanse of the estate which used to define him has become just another part of the world, a space to enjoy and to care for, rather than something to possess or conquer. One afternoon, Thornbrook finds himself standing at the edge of a small stream that runs through the woods, the water flowing gently over smooth stones. The sound of the water is soothing, like a quiet lullaby, and Thornbrook watches as it winds its way through the landscape, effortlessly carving its path. He bends down to touch the cool water, letting it slip through his fingers. For a moment he feels a deep connection to the world around him, to the water, to the earth, to the trees, and to the simple life he has come to embrace. He takes a deep breath, feeling the fresh, crisp air fill his lungs, and in that moment, everything seems to slow down. The weight of his past life, of his wealth and power, no longer holds any significance. It is as though the water, the trees, and the earth have washed away all that he once held dear, leaving him with a quiet, peaceful emptiness. Not an emptiness of loss, but of possibility. He is free to begin again, to live in a way that is true to himself, free from the trappings of the life he once lived. As he stands up and continues his walk along the stream, Thornbrook realizes that this is the life he has been searching for all along. Not a life of grandeur or excess, but one of connection. Connection to the world, to nature, to those he loves, and most importantly, to himself. The past is behind him, and the future is yet to unfold. But for now, in this moment, he is content. He is exactly where he is meant to be. As the days blend seamlessly into one another, Thornbrook's connection to the world around him grows ever stronger. The quiet rhythm of the estate has become his own heartbeat, steady and unwavering, and the peace he once sought is now something he carries within him. He no longer feels the need to prove his worth to anyone, not to his guests, not to his servants, and certainly not to himself. His life is no longer dictated by the expectations of others or the weight of his title. Instead, he has learned to live in harmony with the world, accepting each moment as it comes, without the pressure to control it. Lady Elellanena remains a constant presence by his side, her quiet wisdom and support grounding him as they navigate this new chapter together. Their conversations have shifted from the grand plans of the past to more simple, reflective discussions about the life they now share. They speak about the garden, about the seasons, about their hopes for the future, but there is no rush, no urgency. There is a sense that time, which once felt like an enemy to be mastered, has now become a companion, something to be savoured and appreciated. One morning, after a light breakfast, Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena decide to take a longer walk through the woods, deeper than they have ventured before. The path is narrow, the trees thick and old, their trunks gnarled with age. The air is cool and crisp, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth, and the light filters through the leaves in delicate patterns, casting shifting shadows on the ground. As they walk, Thornbrook notices the way the forest seems to breathe around him. The gentle rustling of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the soft crunch of the path beneath their feet. There is an almost magical stillness to it, a sense that the world here exists outside of time. They walk in silence for a while, each of them lost in their own thoughts. The simplicity of the moment is enough. There is no need for words. The forest seems to hold them, to embrace them in its timeless quiet, and for the first time, Thornbrook feels as though he is part of something much larger than himself. A natural rhythm that has existed for centuries, long before his birth, and will continue long after his passing. As they reach a clearing, Lady Elellanena stops and looks around. She smiles softly, her eyes catching the light of the sun filtering through the trees. "It's beautiful here," she says quietly, almost to herself. "It's as if the world has always been waiting for us to see it." Thornbrook looks around, taking in the scene. The clearing is peaceful, the wildflowers scattered across the ground in a haphazard yet perfect way. The trees encircle them, their trunks standing tall and strong, the canopy above dappled with light. It is a simple scene, yet it feels profound, a reminder of the beauty that exists in the world, in the quiet, unassuming corners that often go unnoticed. "It's perfect," Thornbrook agrees, his voice filled with quiet reverence. "It's exactly what I needed to see, to feel." Lady Elellanena steps closer to him, her hand brushing against his. "Sometimes," she says, "we forget how much beauty there is in simplicity. We get so caught up in the grand designs of life that we overlook the small, quiet moments that are often the most meaningful." Thornbrook nods, feeling the truth of her words settle deep within him. He has spent so many years chasing after things, wealth, power, recognition, and now he realizes that the things he once valued most are the very things that had kept him from experiencing the fullness of life. The simplicity of this moment, the calm of the clearing, the gentle presence of Lady Elellanena beside him. This is the richness he has been searching for all along. They sit together in the clearing, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of the forest. Thornbrook feels the warmth of the sun on his skin, the coolness of the earth beneath him, and the steady, rhythmic sound of his own breathing. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the stillness wash over him, feeling the deep connection to the world around him. This is what he has been waiting for, the peace that comes from simply being present, from letting go of the need to control, and from allowing life to unfold at its own pace. As they sit there, the sounds of the forest fading into a soft hum, Thornbrook feels a sense of contentment that he has never known before. The world is vast, full of complexity and challenge, but in this moment he understands that the greatest gift of all is the ability to simply experience it, to live in harmony with the world, to to find peace in the quiet moments, and to appreciate the beauty that exists in the simplest things. Lady Elellanena leans her head against his shoulder, and Thornbrook wraps his arm around her, holding her close. There is no need for words. In the stillness, they both know that they have found what they were searching for, a life filled with meaning, with purpose, and with a deep, abiding peace that comes from being present in the world and with each other. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadow across the forest floor, Thornbrook knows that this is only the beginning. The path ahead is still unknown, but for the first time he feels ready to face it with an open heart, free from the weight of the past, and filled with the quiet joy of a life truly lived. And so, with Lady Elellanena by his side, he rises to his feet, ready to continue the journey. The world is full of beauty, of simplicity, of possibility, and he is ready to embrace it all. The night falls softly over the estate, the sky turning a deep shade of indigo as the stars begin to twinkle above. The sounds of the evening, a distant owl calling, the rustle of the trees in the night breeze, the gentle croak of frogs by the pond, fill the air with a peaceful stillness. Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena return to the manor, the warmth of the day giving way to the cool, quiet comfort of the night. As they step inside, the atmosphere of the house feels different now. The walls that once seemed so imposing, the vast rooms filled with furniture and fine art, no longer feel like the weight of his past. They feel like a home, alive with history, but not defined by it. Thornbrook realizes that the house, like him, has changed. It has shifted from being a symbol of power and wealth to a place where memories are made, where peace can be found, and where the simple joys of life can unfold. The fire crackles softly in the hearth, the flames casting a warm, flickering light across the room. Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena sit by the fire, the only sound in the room the soft pop and crackle of burning wood. The weight of the day, of the long journey he has taken, feels lighter now. He has shed the burdens that once defined him, and in their place there is only calm, a deep, abiding peace that fills him from within. He looks at Lady Elellanena, her eyes reflecting the warmth of the fire, and he knows, without words, that they have both found something precious in this new life they are building together. It is not about the grand gestures or the wealth that once defined their existence, but about the quiet moments they share, the walks in the garden, the shared laughter, the peaceful silence of the night. These are the moments that make life worth living, the ones that bring true happiness and fulfillment. "I think," Thornbrook says softly, his voice filled with a quiet certainty, "that I am finally home." Lady Elellanena smiles, a gentle, knowing smile. She reaches out and takes his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "We're both home," she replies, "together." The words feel like a promise, a vow to continue on this journey of simplicity and peace, of living in harmony with the world and with each other. Thornbrook feels a sense of gratitude wash over him, deep and profound. He knows that life will continue to unfold, with its challenges and joys, but for the first time he is ready to face it all, with an open heart and a clear mind. As the night deepens, Thornbrook and Lady Elellanena sit in the quiet glow of the fire, their hands intertwined, the warmth of the hearth surrounding them. Outside, the world is still, the stars shining bright above, and Thornbrook feels for the first time in his life that he is exactly where he is meant to be. He is at peace with himself, with the world, and with the life he has chosen. The future, though uncertain, feels full of promise. It is not a future defined by wealth or status, but one of connection, of simplicity, and of living fully in each moment. Thornbrook knows that there will be more walks through the garden, more quiet moments by the fire, and more shared glances with Lady Elellanena, each one a reminder of the life they have built together. And so, as the fire burns low, the night settling into its peaceful rhythm, Thornbrook closes his eyes, his heart full of gratitude. Tomorrow will come, just as today did, but for now he is content. The journey has been long, but it has led him to a place of peace, a place where he can finally breathe, and a place where he is free to be himself. The story is not over. It has only just begun.